Hi there, welcome to your next lesson. Today we're going to be talking about discovering your uniqueness. This is a very important lesson, so please grab a pen and a notebook and we're going to be taking notes on this lesson, okay? I am going to be sharing my screen with you to show you a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation that I have prepared so that you can learn in a better manner. So here we go, get ready, discover your uniqueness. What are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about Ayurveda today. So what is it? What are the type of constitution? What are some of the guidelines? Second, it's going to be your turn to take the test to really find out your type of constitution. So it is an exciting lesson. Ayurveda. Ayur means life and Veda means science or knowledge. So it's essentially the science or knowledge of life. When I read this for the first time, my mind was like, great, I'm going to learn the science of life. I need to learn more about this. I need to understand it. So here we go. What is it? Ayurveda, it's the traditional medicine system that was started 5,000 years ago in India, before we had doctors, medicines, and they look at the entire individual and how the different aspects of our lives can come together to balance our own constitution and live healthier. They use different styles, different practices, and what we're going to be focusing on today specifically is on the nutritional side of it. And I am going to be talking a little bit about the three main doshas that we have in there. So the three main doshas are Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And dosha, it's a word in Sanskrit that means something that is changing. So our constitutions, even though we have our main constitution, for instance, I am Vata Pitta, I am always changing depending on my age, depending on my mood, depending on how I feel. However, Prakriti, my body type, it is formed in the inception of my own life. And so my constitution is going to be with me forever. What is going to change, it's the imbalances within different constitutions. And then as we grow older, we might experience some characteristic of other constitutions, but we're going to keep our main doshas with us throughout our lives. Now, what Ayurveda says is that an imbalance of these elemental combinations, because it's the cause of physical disease. So what I mean by elemental combinations, and let's find out about our doshas, it's the elemental combinations of the different elements. So for instance, Vata, it's made out of air and ether. Pitta is fire and water. And then Kapha, it's earth and water. So unbalance in these elements is going to cause sicknesses in our bodies. And so we have here, Vata is the first one. It is the queen of the doshas and is responsible for all movements. We like to speak very fast. We like to be touched. We quickly learn and forget. We most of the time have cold hands, dry skin, and we're always moving. It's like the wind. So I feel very much connected to Vata as my main constitution. What does Vata govern? It governs the nervous system, the breathing, blinking, muscles and tissues. Our physical characteristics, usually it's a thin body frame. We have dry skin, dry hair, light muscles and bones. And like I mentioned, cold hands and feet. This is my favorite part of Ayurveda, which is talking about the emotions, because it's not just about our physical body, but it's also our emotions, and every person is different. So it says here that for Vatas, their poison is attachment. And this is so true. We could be attached to not only physical things, but people, always looking to please others. When in balance, however, we're very spontaneous, creative, enthusiastic, compassionate, and very inspiring to be around. When we're not in balance, then we can be very indecisive, worried for everything, have fear, anxiety, pain, and spasms. This is exactly me. And I'm a Libra, so the indecisiveness, it's really part of my life. And that's why I'm always trying to balance my dosha, because I rather be enthusiastic, compassionate, creative than indecisive and fearful. So a couple of other things. This is just a little bit of a cartoon there so that you get an idea of what vatas look like. And so the organs are found in the colon and the large intestine. So I've always had issue with constipation. And so there we go. This is a very particular vata characteristic that is not in balance. It will be reflected in the colon or the large intestine. Stress response. I'm always worried about the what if, and that is so true. What if I do this? What if I do that? What's going to happen? Always worried about the future, the past, the present. That's what vatas do. What are some of the health problems? Headaches, constipation, like I mentioned, cramps, bloatiness. Some of the exercises that you should be doing would be grounding exercises. So for us, yoga is ideal, walking or biking, and our favorite season is the fall. So I particularly like to run, which is something that I enjoy, but it's not necessarily great for me. So I really, really have to do yoga or exercises three to 2 times a week to counterbalance the other exercises that I like to do. So are you feeling familiar with any of the things that I mentioned for vatas? If you are, make a mental note about it. We're going to move into pitta. This is a combination of fire and water. So pitta is a very fiery dosha. They're responsible for the digestion, the metabolism. In Sanskrit, the word angi means fire. And so every time I think about pittas, I think about the fire that is in our stomach that is really ready to digest our foods. And so if we're not having that fire, it is going to be very hard for us to digest the food. Things get accumulated. And that's when, whenever you have a very slow metabolism, we really want to try to incentivize to bring that agni again, to bring back the fire to balance your pitta. One thing that I want to mention as well is that we are all a combination of these 3 doshas, but we are going to have one that is our main one, and then a second one that it's your second dosha. So keep that in mind. For instance, I am vata pitta. So pittas are the water component in our body. So they are the fluids between ourselves, our blood. It carries the waste. It's like this system of moving things inside of us. It also governs, like I mentioned, the digestive system and the blood circulation. And some of the physical characteristics are very interesting because most of them have very light skin, light eyes, pointed nose. The body frame is like light to medium, very muscular. And they do not tolerate light very well. And they usually have bright eyes. Their emotions, and this is when I laugh because my husband is a pitta. And so it says that their poison is anger. When in balance, they are very dynamic, intelligent, passionate, romantic, great organizers. I love him when he is in balance. However, unbalanced, they can get critical and overly critical. They get frustrated very quick, and they are very control freaks. That I have to live with. I wouldn't say more often than not, because I really try to help him balance his pitta. But it's another example where everything that I'm saying really matches with his own personality and body frame. So does this sound anything like you? This is a picture of a pitta woman there. The organs that they direct are the liver and the pancreas. The stress responses, they become very irritable, tendency to blame others, and the health problems is skin inflammation, rashes, overheated, ulcers, everything that it's, as you can tell, if you think about fiery, when it's too much fire, then it shows up in our skin, in our eyes. They get overheated pretty easily. Also, exercise. For them, it's ideal to swim, do yoga as well. This is not the constitution that you want them playing basketball or playing tennis or playing something that is, it could be way too intense. There's something that they can do once in a while, but it's not something that is recommended as a day-to-day type of exercise for them. And their season is summer. Now, our last dosha, it's kapha. They're a combination of earth and water. Everyone wants to have a friend that is kapha. They're super stable and grounding, when in balance. They're responsible for the structure of the body, lubricating the joints and the skin. And they govern the structure of the body. They're responsible for holding the cells together. Some of the physical characteristics is they're more heavy boned. They have a little bit of a larger body. Sometimes they have oily skin and hair. And this is the beauty about Ayurveda. We don't have to look all like Victoria's Secret models, right? That's not the idea. The idea is that we find our own body type, we eat according to it, and we feel energized, happy, and healthy. That's what we're trying to achieve. And obviously try to reach our ideal weight, but within our own constitution. Emotions. So for kapha, their poison is ignorance. So they rather not know about things, turn their head around and let things solve itself. And we know that sometimes that just doesn't happen. You have to face your fears, face your whatever it is that you're going through, and go through it. So in balance, however, and this is why it is important to have kapha friends, they're super patient, they're compassionate, they're always there for you, tender, passionate, affectionate. And then on balance, they tend to be more depressive. They have a resistance to change. They're pretty stubborn. They like to live in their own little world, and it's hard for them to come out of that shell. And even though they like it, but it's harder when unbalanced to come out of the shell and share their light with others. This is a little bit of an example of a kapha and of a kapha constitution. Organs, respiratory and reproductive system. So some of the women that have any problem with ovaries, you might have to balance your kapha, for instance. The stress responses, I do not want to deal with this, like I mentioned before. Some of the health problems, again, respiratory, anything that is kind of like mucus oriented, asthma, diabetes, it's kapha oriented. And the exercise, this is the constitution that should be running, working out, doing HIIT, high intensity interval training, lifting weights. This is a constitution that really needs to be, that it will really benefit from these type of exercises. Yoga also, it's important to keep their groundedness. However, I would really recommend for kaphas to get that sweat going. And their season is winter. Now, like I mentioned before, two things that I want to say. Number one is most of us are a combination of these primary doshas. So we're going to have the three of them. However, there's always two that are the primary ones. And the second thing that I wanted to mention is that don't worry, you don't have to know everything. You don't have to understand it at all. This is why I'm here. So just, it's nice for you to understand a little bit about this, but you don't have to become an expert. And so what do we need to do to make it real? We are going to fill the intake form. You already did that. So you're good. Never mind. And then you're going to keep filling out the eat, feel, go form. Make sure you do that. We still have some time to do it. This is, like I said, the best thing to really diagnose yourself. So keep at it. And then that's it. Congrats. You're done with this lesson. So I will see you in the next lesson. Send me any questions via the Healthy app. Bye.